Hi, I'm Sanira Madani, and I'm a mom of two, a daughter of an immigrant, and an unlikely entrepreneur who went from scaling an idea to $1 billion business. Yes, $1 billion business. Since I never went to CEO school, I've had to learn it all the hard way, but you shouldn't have to, because we believe that you deserve to have it all. And honestly, nothing bad happens when women make more money. Grab a seat because class is officially in session. I'm late to my next meeting. Sal's gonna fucking kill me. Hello. Happy Thursday. Happy day today. I'm so excited for all of you to be back today on day 2 of the CEO School experience. And first, oh my God, okay, there's my chat. There's my screen. We have such an amazing event for you today. Carlos, do you mind actually moving this teleprompter so I could see the whole screen? We are in Hi Hello Studio Lab. Shout out to my favorite film crew who always make sure that everything goes flawlessly for me. This has been like the greatest gift I think I've given our business is a team that supports all of this production and just makes life super easy. I was actually stuck outside in the rain. It's crazy, crazy rain today. And I'm going to share a story with you about Sky is Black. So remind me, Laura, to share the story about Sky is Black while I'm sharing a little bit more about the what I'm talking about on people. But without further ado, hello. I'm your host, Sanira Madani, and I am so excited for today's topic and masterclass specifically on people, which is my favorite, absolute favorite topic to discuss as CEO. And honestly, the most important part of scaling your business is all the things people. And today, it was not going to be any different than yesterday. So first, it's going to be so much jam-packed value, and I'm going to get you started here shortly. So grab a seat. I want you to relax. And I would love for you guys in the chat. So first, I want to know who's back on day 2 and who's new here. But before I do, my DMs were blowing up yesterday and it was so much fun. So this morning we actually were on our team huddle and we decided to create a small inner circle community on Instagram. You could do like an inner circle so I can answer questions for you live through my DMs and then specifically through the inner circle stories. So you guys will be the only ones that get exclusive access to the behind the scenes and real questions. I'll post polls and we can literally engage like through this whole week. And so I had a great time. And so what I want you to do if you're back and you're on Instagram, or even if you're new and you're on Instagram, drop in your business name and your Instagram handle. So I want you to drop it in. Okay, into the chat, everybody. And what my team is going to do is invite you to a super private close friends circle. And I'm answering my DMs live. So I was voice noting people last night. And I'm planning on spending the next 3 days getting to know each of your businesses. I cannot explain to you like how much joy I get on like learning about business. It's like my favorite thing in the entire world. And so you'll probably be hearing from me. So drop your handle. Okay. And we're going to become Instagram DM besties. So business name and Instagram handle. So business name, Instagram handle. Okay. And yeah, I'll be DMing you. How cool is that? It's going to be so fun. Yesterday was so fire. I left with so much energy. The class was insane. If you did not get a chance to come to the class yesterday, or you're here watching the replay on day 2, be sure to go back on day 1. And what we covered was your annual operating plan for the business, right? So we created a forecast, actual tangible plan for 2023. We did a retrospective for 2022. So we did a lot of work yesterday. You had homework assignments, and you guys honestly came through on the inside. Our insiders on our Facebook group. Can we drop that link in, Laura, as well? So if you're not part of our inside group, there's 2 places I want you to be at. So drop in your Instagram handle, and then I want you to go to the link that is showing on the screen below, because today we're actually going to be choosing a winner from yesterday's homework assignment. So the conversations have been amazing, and our team is actively in it and doing audits as well for your AOP reviews. So as we do org and org design today, this is just like great, amazing free resources. Please, please, please take advantage. And I love, honestly, all the friendships that are also getting made. So this is going to be just the next greatest days. A few of you said Villy didn't get an email. If you want to just DM at CO School, we'll drop the link. And when you're in the inside group, all the links are kind of posted up there as well. So be sure to be in the inner circle. I'll be sure to get you guys the links there and in our Facebook group. So do that right now. So pull out your phones. And then I loved all the energy back on Instagram. Like, I want to hear your biggest takeaways from today's session. So tag us and share it. We were literally resharing all of you all over Instagram yesterday. And so it's so fun. So be sure to do that today. And yes, I did bring the pink suit and a banana. I have not had any lunch. It's been quite the amazing leadership day today, which kicks us off into today's workshop. So today we're going to be discussing people, which is your greatest strength, you guys, especially as a CEO. And I know people can be scary, and it's the hardest part of my job. And so over the last, just brief history, over the last 10 years that I've been in business, I started my company solo. But if you heard me yesterday, there's no such thing as self-made, right? It takes people to help you get there. And asking for help is the first step in it, but also building an organization around you that's there to support the overall vision of the company, the why of the company, and to actually help you achieve your goals so that you can go further. It takes not just people, the right people. And I have found in almost every mentorship group that I've like trained all of you in, or any one of our cohorts, the number one thing that I get asked is, Scenario, like how I'm not able to find the right people. Of course, I want to build a team. Of course, I want to have this. And I see what you're doing, but how did you find the right people? How do you always find the right people? And I want you to know that I'm not an exception to anything. And today I'm going to actually teach you my playbook, which is, I would say, the most valuable piece of knowledge that I own is my people skills, how I'm able to attract people, how I'm able to put the right people in place, how I empower my teams, how I actually build out my dream org to support me now and in the future, so that truly 1+1=3. And so you're going to understand that math equation here shortly. And Laura, I would love for you to introduce yourself again to the entire crew so they know that they're going to be hearing from you. Laura is our incredible CMO here at CEO School. And I would love for her to say a few words while I eat a banana. I can't hear you, Laura.
Okay, I have to add myself to the screen. Hello. See, Sanira's all glam and in beautiful pink cerise. I am in what's called launch event clothes, like behind the scenes. So I'm going to remove my video.
You look beautiful.
Oh, I adore you. Can you all hear me? Hopefully you can.
I hear you.
You
I
can
thought
hear
you were
me.
just gracing us your presence for a quick hot second.
In it to win it. Okay, I'm going to be here on video. We're riffing today. We have got an announcement actually yesterday, Snira, one of our winners. So if you see your name flash up on the bottom of the screen, you are a winner from Workshop 1. Drum roll. Here we go. Laura Rhoda, you entered our contest yesterday. You shared that, oh my God, this was such a huge goal. Building her software to 1 million in annual recurring revenue. We are cheering you on. So not only do you win some swag, but you also win a one-on-one with Sanira. If there is something Sanira knows the whole playbook on, is building massive recurring revenue. So I'm super excited for you two to connect and for Sanira to give you that amazing one-on-one time. So we also have another opportunity to win today. We're going to share the assignment at the end of the call. You can win a swag box and another one-on-one. Sanira, we're giving away your time during the experience.
I love it. It's my favorite place to be.
Oh, so my friends, I'm going to be here behind the scenes helping and supporting. I'm going to hand over to Sanira now, who's going to...
So could you tell us how they can win this? So what happened in the Facebook group yesterday? Can you tell us a little bit of like what you were sharing with me this morning?
Yes, the group is popping off, by the way. It's so crazy in there. So yesterday we created a feedback post so you could share your assignments to get coaching from the team. We are here to serve. We also gave the opportunity to share just your biggest light bulb moment around what is your focus going to be in sales. So today, end of the call, you have another opportunity to do the same thing. And all you have to do actually is just let us know after today's session what is going to be your first hire for 2023. Share those details and also share your assignment. We want to give you feedback and help and support. That's what the group is for. So let me share the link to the group, the ceoschool.co/group. Sanira has her tea. She's going to be super happy right now.
Oh, you know what it says? Because you know my favorite part of every time I come on the podcast here is Carolina and Carlos. They always give me one of these yogi teas, and it always has a message. I'm so like nerdy and weird sometimes, but it like makes me so happy. And I always like the message, and I feel like it always pertains. So today's message is live by your inner knowledge and strength. And I love that. And today I'm going to share all my inner knowledge with all of you. So
Exactly. So I'm going to bring you back on, lovely. I'm going to hand over to you. Let's get started.
alrighty, let's get started. Before we get started, yesterday was super, super jam packed, and I want you to kind of get yourself in that same mindset as yesterday. We did a beautiful visualization exercise, and I want you to bring back her, your highest leader, your best self. That is who I want you to be bringing today in today's seat, sitting down to receive all this amazing information and really relaxing, soaking it all in, and just taking notes. I don't want you to overwhelm yourself. I'm going to share so much with you today. Okay. And I think that was like the biggest surprise. I think every time people show up to one of our sessions, they're like, oh my God, there's so much in here. It's not like anything I've ever been to before. That makes me very happy because I think that this is exactly what's been missing for far too long in the online education space is it needs to be fully transparent, the right playbooks, all of the details. I believe that when you win, we win and we all win together. And so today is going to be no different. I'm going to load you with every single thing about people. Now, you're going to want to come in, okay, and want to do everything, but you're not going to be able to. Okay. I want you to just take a few nuggets. So if by the end of it, you take away one nugget and one action item is like your org chart or who this next one person is, okay, that might be the one takeaway. So I want you to just relax, sit back, soak it all in. And I promise you, once you come join us inside of CEO School, which hopefully like you're going to be in, right? And I want each of you in, there is entire like everything like that I'm going to break down today. We're going to work on each of these different things. It's not going to happen overnight, but my goal today is to give you the utmost level workshop, and that's what we're going to do. So the first reminder that I have for you as a CEO, and that is, yes, that's what you are, is a CEO, your highest, your best self. You are in the business of people, period. Okay. I don't care whether you have a team today or you don't have a team today. This applies to every piece of your business from start to scale to exit and beyond. We are always in the business of people. Okay. And even your customers need you to see you as a CEO and a leader, right? And especially your team. And even if you don't have a team, we're going to get that right team to support you. And you are in that business of people. So first I want you to just accept that component. Okay. And your current situation, what I feel that I find most CEOs, female CEOs are in, or women in business are in, is that it's overwhelming. There's so much that needs to get done, right? And you're honestly taking it all on yourself. So in the chat, I want you to tell me if this is you. Like you have, like everything lives in your head, okay? And you might be outsourcing some things, but honestly, it still feels like it's never done right. Okay. And it's not to your standard. There's always mistakes and you can't really find the help that you need to support you. And there's so many tasks that you're like, I wish I could hand this off. And I wish I could. And our answer is like, I wish I could clone me. Okay. That's like the thing that I hear the most. I wish I could clone me. And I'm going to give you the hard reality because I like to give, I don't sugarcoat things. No one is ever going to be you. That's not their job. And our expectation of people is what also is setting us back, right? Because we expect the next person to also be like us and do every single thing. But I'm here to tell you that there's a future state, okay? And that in your future state, it doesn't have to be everything, but getting the right roles and responsibilities in place and having people own their lanes is what's going to be the right strategic direction for you to scale your business, right? It's not going to be everything. You're not going to find that one person. And even in the early stages, you might one person that can wear many hats, but it's not scalable, right? You want to build an organization that has clear, defined roles and responsibilities, people that are consistent, right? You want consistency, not this project went amazing and then the next one didn't, right? Consistency is so important. And yesterday, when we talked about consistency, we were driving it on an AOP perspective, right? You want consistency in your business. You also want consistency in your people. Okay. And in order to have that, the main pillars are honestly effective and efficient communication and collaboration, right? So that you're able to clearly communicate as a team and most importantly, collaborate to get the job done. And today in this lesson, you're going to go from just maybe having virtual assistants or maybe nobody to having some contractors, maybe one person in your org, to honestly having an organizational structure, right? And a path to get to the right org structure, even defining what does the right org structure look like for you. You're going to learn today how and why to hire for strategic value. This is going to go back to the 1 + 1 = 3. And we're going to think about not just the roles that like you need today, but the roles that you need tomorrow. And finally, we're going to talk about SOPs, which is an entire module in and of itself inside of our program, which is standard operating procedures. So I'm sure many of you have heard of SOPs. If you haven't, they're just this amazing document to train and get things out of your brain. But we're going to go into why the SOPs you're doing aren't working. So even if you have SOPs in place, they're not working. They're not working for you. And so we're going to show you how you can actually effectively use processes to scale your team. And then finally, we're going to talk about company culture and something that I'm so proud of for the last 10 years as CEO. It's not just all the awards on our wall from literally Forbes best places to work every single year. It's truly the values that we have on the walls. Our people walk in the halls. I just left the office right now, and tonight's our holiday party, Stack's holiday party. It is buzzing. My heart is actually like half there right now because I got to see so many of my team members that I haven't seen, that like all remote or traveling from everywhere. The talent that we have that we attract is one thing, but it's more important to keep your talent as well. So if you're investing your time into people, that is an investment. And I want you to view people as an investment. And I believe that the world views people as a commodity or a resource. And at CEO School, and you as the CEO, I want you to view people as your greatest asset, resource, and your biggest investment. Investment in dollars, investment in time. And when you put your investment and your time and energy into it, you get that return on investment, right? And it's not going to happen overnight, but it will pay fruit. And these lessons that I've learned on culture, I'm going to share with you also today on how to really drive the most amazing culture. So it doesn't matter what's happening in the marketplace. It doesn't matter about great resignation. And honestly, it doesn't matter how small you are as a company. And you were fighting for talent, right? Compared to like, we have Facebooks and amazing companies in your backyard. And you're like, how do I even go attract talent on the budget that I have? Right? I'm telling you, I did it. So can you. Our women at CEO School are doing it every single day. So can you. Right? And people they don't want to work for companies that don't have purpose and a why. They want to work for incredible leaders. And so today we're going to ship up and I'm going to make you the greatest inner self leader, your highest leader today. So who is excited about today and being that and hopefully having that for your business in 2023? I'm so excited. All right. So 1 + 1 = 3. You're like, okay, this math doesn't make sense. Sarah, you spent 2 hours with us yesterday teaching us all about, annual operating plans and formulas, but you can't do basic math. I want to tell you why this makes complete sense when it comes to people. So 1 + 1 = 3 is this notion that when you hire, what I've seen for women entrepreneurs, we hire when it's too late, when things are like absolutely breaking. We're on our last, like we're in complete burnout, and they're like, you know what? Now I'm going to delegate this thing off and I'm going to go hire that person that I need right there. When you're doing that, you are not actually strategically adding to the organization. You're just taking something off your plate, right? We're in that scarcity mindset. However, when you plan ahead, right, and you hire the right people, this person that comes into your organization, it shouldn't just be about delegating things off. The person that comes in should be able to help the organization grow bigger. Okay. So by bringing on this person, it's not just delegating tasks off of me. It's about what value are they going to also bring that's going to multiply in the organization and bring in a talent that we also may not have or may not like, we don't even know we need it today. And so I always want to be thinking about people strategically and not just hiring to delegate off, to really think about what is this person going to bring, that it's going to be 1 + 1 = 3. And every single hire that you hire should be 1 + 1 = 3. So the first thing we're going to do is do a quick assessment about your leadership, your current team, and the team, honestly, that you need. So this is going to be kind of like our retrospective that we did yesterday, right? So we did a retrospective. It's so important for us to reflect. I love the practice of reflection and actually taking the time to zoom out of our business so that we can focus, right? When we're so in it, right? How many of you guys are just in it? And I'm so glad that you're taking the time. I appreciate all of you for being here today because we're zooming out, right? And it's a great time for us to reflect back. So screenshot this. You'll get this later. I want you to reflect upon your leadership and think about things like what's working and really ask yourself, it's not them, it's you. Okay? So what's working and what's not working, right? In your leadership. Who do you actually love collaborating with and why? What's your best way of working, right? Are you an in-person? Are you a whiteboarder? Do you need face-to-face? Do you need eye contact? Do you like you love it on Zoom? Are you perfectly fine on like Slack and audio? Like what are the actual ways that you like to communicate? What are some boundaries for your work life, right? And I do think that that's important for you to think about of like, are you somebody that is okay with having your team reach out to you whenever, or do you want, like whatever that looks like for you? For me, honestly, I'm working on this one. I feel like I've had a lot of success and I don't want to discount boundaries at all, but great leaders are there for their teams. Okay, so I want you to assess that and check that. In a perfectly ideal state, yes, there will be boundaries and it's important to set those boundaries, but it's also important to make sure your team knows that you're there for them and that you're working right alongside with them. Because it's also a reflection of how they're handling your business as well. What isn't currently working, and maybe some of like your previous hires, like what have you struggled with? So what I'd love for you to do is go back and take a look at somebody that didn't work out, right? Or maybe you had a contractor in place or a hire in place and it didn't work out. And I want you to really ask yourself, what took place? What did I do to prevent a solution to the problem? And what I mean that by this is really inner reflecting and saying, what could I have done better? Right? And not just putting the blame game on the other person. People don't leave companies, people leave managers, right? All of you are entrepreneurs. I would say 95% of you had a job elsewhere. And at some point, we've all quit, right? A job. And if we even think about our own experience, and I led this exercise at our retreat last, and man, the stories that came out, right? Like the worst, I asked the women about their worst boss ever. Okay. And think about that. Like, who was your worst boss ever and why? And it's going to boil down to a few key principles. It's because you probably didn't feel seen, heard, respected, appreciated. It comes back all the way down to the human side of things, right? Business is personal. That is like what I'm trying to preach here every single day at CEO School. And so even us as leaders, what did we do to prevent a solution for that employee? Like, did we not train hard enough? Were we not there? Like, think about those things. And then think about your environment in your company, right? What can you do to facilitate a better environment so that whatever's taken place over this last year doesn't take place? And it doesn't even have to be about employees that are no longer with you. Even asking your team members, this is a great time for you to share this with your team, right? This is what's called 360 feedback. You can give them feedback, but they should also be able to give you feedback, right? So when was the last time you actually asked your team these questions and say, no judgment. I really just want to know how I can better support you and how best that I can be a great leader next year. And so taking in this feedback is super important. Next, I want you to think about doing a current team assessment, right? So what does your current team look like? And I'm going to teach you 2 like action tips right now that you're going to leave with. You're going to be like, I need to do this every single quarter. So we're going to do a team-wide time audit, okay? And we're going to revisit your SOPs and or we're going to create a new path for SOPs. And all of this is not going to happen in tonight's homework assignment. And when you come into the program, you're going to have time to implement. We're going to work through it one-on-one with you to make sure that when you leave after the 12 weeks, these are the things that get checked off. So let's do it. Okay, so number 1 on your team audit is first to identify roles and responsibilities. Okay, so I want you to first think about currently, I would do it in 2 steps, right? What is your current situation? And then what is your future state organization? So it's okay for today and for the homework assignment to think about your ideal org, okay? And I'm not saying that you have unlimited resources. There's no such thing as unlimited resources, but let's really think about realistic resources. But if you were to hire the right team, what does your ideal org chart look like, right? And I would start off with you as CEO and then who reports into you. And I would think about it from departments. Even if there's people that might be wearing multiple hats, is there a customer support department? Is there a marketing department? Is there a finance department? Is there a sales department? Is there a sales and marketing department that could be combined together? So I really want you to be thinking about your company in terms of departments. And I want you to identify what you already have, okay? And what might be the open pieces. So that's what we're going to do first. Then on an ideal standpoint, where we're going to do our team audit next, we're also going to think about, is this a full-time role, right? Are there maybe specific this is where roles and responsibilities are huge. And so this is definitely a very cumbersome exercise, but I'm going to give you all of the high level and then you can run with this on your own. So this is literally my cheat playbook on people. So we're going to do your dream org chart, do it by department. And then by department, I want you to ideally create job descriptions and responsibilities. The second thing I want you to think about is on people. So we have this dream org chart, and although we might not have it today, right, I want you to do that current assessment. And something that I want you to also assess is who are your A players and who are your B players. And sometimes when I say B players, people have a bad connotation with B players. There's nothing wrong with being a B player. You need both A players and B players. You need both. And let me tell you the difference. An A player is somebody who just rolls up their sleeves and gets it done no matter what. This is a person that goes above and beyond. This is the person who takes initiative. This is the person who figures it out. This is this is the person on my team that just figures it out. So I'm going to pause here and in the chat, because I want to see, I want to ask you, how many people do you have on your current team? Okay. So I want to see, and how many A players, like you could say I have 3 people, 2 A, 1 B, 3 contractors. So I kind of want to see that assessment, and I'm going to real time coach you guys here. And while you guys are doing that and that loads, you need to have your right hand and your strategic level, like the department heads or the people that are running your org, they need to be A players. If they are not A players, they do not belong in your organization. B players are the players that are the doers as well, right? And it's honestly perfectly okay to have doers and amazing doers. You need people that are going to be the best at their job and they're content in doing their job. And it's not that they're not willing to roll up their sleeves. They're just really good and aligned in their role. And that's perfectly okay. And so that's important to have. And then we have contractors, right? And contractors are neither A or B. They're outsourced. And it's partial, right? So they help your organization. They're not fully part of your team, but they help you get the job done. And what I have found over the last 3 years of coaching all of you in CO school, us women do not hire A players. We expect everybody to be A players, but we hire contractors and then expect our contractors to be A players. We hire B players and expect our B players to do everything and then be A players. Tell me if this rings true for you. It's the truth. I've been guilty of it myself. Right? We have, and even interns, right? So these are all supporting cast. But if in order for you to scale, we got to get the right people around you, and we got to change our mentality on people. Laura, I can't see on the left side. I don't know if you can move the comments on the right. It's okay if it's not. The camera just hits when I look at it. It's like all blocked. I don't know, Viv, if you can move the camera without adjusting the face. No, this one. So I can't. No, it'll move it. Okay, so there we go. Now I can see the screen. Fantastic. Lots of contractors. See, so I'm going through this. Lots of contractors, 2A and 3B. Amanda, that sounds awesome, right? I hope that their leaders. Halia says 5 contractors. That's a lot of contractors. And contractors are great, especially when getting started. Contractors are fantastic, and you should be treating your contractors like team members. So although they might be separate, you need to treat them within your team, but the expectations have to be different for them versus your full-time team. And contractors are great to get started, right? Or taking on a new project or something that's not going to be every day in the day-to-day. Once you have a system in place, a playbook in place, I want you to think about how you can bring that within the organization, because your time, dollars, and even your energy is going to go further with the right team members around you. So now that we're going to go try to go get A players, we're going to do strategic hires. And I don't want to overwhelm you. It's actually not going to it's going to cost you more by not doing this. The reason why women are not scaling fast enough is we're not hiring fast enough. Okay. And here I actually say hire slow, fire fast, which is ironic into my next line. But it is still, but I think we're hiring a little too slow. So I would give this advice in a sense of fire fast is what I am trying to probably say the most out of this slide, right? Is I want you to think about your hires in a strategic lens. And I want you to hire the right people. And hiring the right people takes time, right? Currently, right now, we are looking for an amazing marketing manager, a marketing coordinator for CO school, right? We're putting up the job description. We're probably going to have this position filled in January. That's what's next. So it's going to take us about 60 days to go through this process, and we're going to look for the right A player on the team, because they're going to have to support us strategically and then manage all the contractors. But it's also important to assess the team and to fire fast as well. So if somebody's not working out, 90 days is the right timeline. And I want you to take a look at yourself to say, did you do everything to make this person successful? And I'll show you how you can do that audit later. But we need to be able to also cut people who are not pulling their weight or carrying the water, right? And so people ask me all the time, they're like, how are you such an empathetic leader and still drive like such level? I'm like the most empathetic human. I'm kind. I'm all the things, but I will tell you, I demand excellence. 100%, Laura shaking her head. I demand excellence. I do not settle for less than excellent. I know what I want. I know how to do it. And I want my team, I empower my team. I let them make the decisions. I support them 100%. And all my team are all loyalists. Like anybody who ever works for me, we have like long-term relationships with. Actually, this morning I had my business coach. She's been with me for 8 years. And I was actually telling Laura today that my other Laura, I have another Laura. And I was like, oh, I was on a walk with Laura this morning. And I was like, oh yeah, it's been like 8 years. So we're just like, it's like friends catching up. And she's like, you literally have the same people for so long. And I'm like, yeah, because why? Like I invest in people. And so then they invest back. So it's so important for you to change that mindset about people and really empowering your teams, but doesn't mean that you can't drive excellence while still being an amazing empathetic leader. So job description, right? So I want for one thing is, even if your org does not exist, right? I want you to think about um, who you need to hire. And the first step in doing that is also creating an actual job description, not a copy paste of what is a job description of an executive assistant, right? Like you can use that as a template. And honestly, we're actually building out a beautiful library at the CO school for all of these resources as well. But you can pull a template, but you have to make it your own, right? So you want to have the role, big needle movers and like big wins that this role is supposed to do. And once and like creating an actual, like, what does it actually take to build that job description of what does it look like in your organization, the vision of that role. I want you to actually write down the daily tasks, estimated tasks, like all the things, and putting together a true job description. And honestly, an exercise, this is not just for future roles that you have, thinking about your org today and even redefining someone's job description, right? In a small startup, things are always changing and job roles are also changing. In a new year in 2023, how amazing would it feel to have like each of your team members like redo their own job descriptions? I actually put this back on my team. So I don't even do it. I have them create what their current job description is because it's changing, right? So you can say, let's go build out your current job description, right? And we just recently did this. Actually, we did it all over the summer. So when I was off in July, the CO school team was actually reassessing all of their roles and putting together what are the tasks that they want to take on, how are their job descriptions changed, and they actually built out their own SOPs. So this is where the SOP part comes in. So your team has their job descriptions, and then from there, they're building out their own standard operating templates, right? So we have a template that we're happy to share with you. And in the program, you'll receive like all the modules on actually building out SOPs. And one of the things is I've seen people build out a process and then they do the document, but they never revisit it. And so for us, it's like a living, breathing document. We all do it. We do it digitally, but it's important for the person to get it out of their head, the task, and say, this is how I do it. So an example of, let's say your customer support person, okay? And you could build out their job description of what does it take to be a customer service manager in your company, and break out, here are the daily tasks, here are the key objectives of the role, here are the key responsibilities, here are the hours that it actually takes for that it is a part-time job, and it's 4 hours per day, Monday through Thursday, and this is the job description. This person's creating that. And then let's say on the activity list, right? So where it actually shows like manage customer support emails, manage the customer support email inbox. Let's say that's a task. There should be an SOP related to that task. And so when you click on that, it should take you to the SOP, and it should actually outline. Yes, Carlos. Okay, I'll move it closer. I'm like relaxed today. It should actually outline how this person does that job, right? So literally it's a physical document, and we use some cool tech tools to kind of like, we do it on video. So it's just like a Loom video, and it's like, here's the inbox. And so you do it and this person, so Val actually has created her own SOP for CO school. And she's like, okay, I'm going to open up my inbox tomorrow, and I'm just going to kind of show as if she was training herself, somebody else out of the job. Right. And why that's important, why the team is empowered, is because they also want to start thinking about how they can delegate off their task and the company can grow. Right. And so Val has literally demonstrated what's in her head to say, here's how I operate the inbox. You go to LastPass, you pull the password, we go into the inbox, and then I manage like the first, like the highest level priority ticket items. Here's how I log them into our ticket system. Then I log them back in Asana to check off that the task or the ticket is completed. And here's the template. Like within the SOP, she has commonly asked tickets, right? So it's like how to do a refund, how to reset password. Like what are the most like commonly requested top 10 items? She actually has documented a quick response. So she can literally copy paste a response that's already there, right? That is a thorough SOP. It's not just how to do it. It also gives the person like examples and like somebody brand new, if like literally tomorrow, if Val wasn't able to come into the office, somebody could actually just go into the SOP and like complete the task. And so that is how it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. And also, what I don't want to overwhelm you with is you're not going to have an SOP for everything. So when you think about the job description, I want you to think about if that person weren't here tomorrow, or they won the lottery. So I hate saying they got hit by a bus, because like, why are American idioms so awful? Like, why didn't they win the lottery? Like, that's a better one. So if they win the lottery and Val doesn't show up tomorrow to work, which I doubt that's going to happen, but if she doesn't show up tomorrow to work, and we bring on somebody, you can go in and like, what are the most critical things? The critical things, the needle mover tasks, are the ones that should be documented. Okay. And to start off point, because you're going to be like, Sanira, there's so much shit to do in my org now. Okay. You're not going to do this overnight. We are still working on our SOPs. Like, it's constantly evolving. And you're always going back, and like, when somebody else comes into the role or there's a new process, you update your SOPs as well. So what I want you to create, what we do at CO School, and you're going to get that into the program, is just an SOP. Like, here's like the main charter, and here's like the main SOPs that we need to create. And then you could put the person responsible for them in that. And it could be you, it could be the teammate, it could be whatever. And so that you can create them over time. So it's not going to happen overnight. But putting it all together, it all works together, right? That is the whole goal of creating the proper, like a true roles and responsibilities, having clear alignment, also flexibility, right? So I don't want this to be super rigid, in a sense of, you want your team players to be able to flex, right? And that can get continually, added or subtracted or as roles change, but it is important for you to get the right setup in place. And you can do this like with your current team. So now I'm going to go back to, if there's a one role that you're like, okay, I did my org chart and here are how the pieces fit, and you identify, and hopefully we'll be able to help you identify who your next big hire needs to be, or your next hire needs to be. Once you have a job description in place, you might not have the SOPs perfectly created, but you have the right job description. You know what SOPs you need to actually create. Now it's time for you to actually go get applicants. What I find most women do, and it's awesome to tap into your network. Your network is going to be your biggest friend right now. But it is important for you to create a process for actually interviewing more than one applicant. Do not fall in love with the first puppy. Okay. Is like, that's what we do as women. We're like, oh my God, this person's perfect. We have happy ears. We're like really trying to get this role filled. And so I want you to make sure that you do have multi applicants, and that you actually do review the applicants, and that you actually do create a process to go get the right person. Okay. So I want you to promise me that. And I'll tell you, I just hired an operations manager for CO School that starts January 15th. I'm so excited for Jasmine to join the team. She's here and she's so wonderful. And our team went through so many applications, picked and selected multiple. They did a pre-round interview, and then they gave me 3 to select one from. You can go through that process, because you need to do that right now, right? You have to go through that process. And eventually you'll have a team that can do that. And I went through 3 interviews, but Jasmine was my first one. And I was like, oh my God, she's perfect. I was like, Laura, she's the one. And then I was like, well, and I told Jasmine, I was like, this is incredible. But I told her, I was like, I have 2 other candidates that I will be talking through. So although I knew that she was the one, I still wanted to make sure that I was validated, and I gave the opportunity to see the other candidates as well. So that's something that is just my personal tidbit on it. CO School just put on there 70 applications, 10 shortlisted, 3 for interview. It's awesome. I love it. Okay, so getting applications. So you have to also like be your biggest advocate. And that's why I believe like your brand, your marketing, your why needs to be so, so important. And you nailing your pitch as CEO. And we're not going to cover pitch module today, but also in the program, we're going to go through your brand, and all of that matters. You're competing against major corporations and this person's time. Like, the privilege of having somebody like give you all their time, that's a blessing. Like, that is like something that you should not take lightly. And you have to sell the dream, right? You have to sell that vision. You have to be able to articulate that. You have to be able to get the candidates excited on why they should join your company. Then it's important for you to check the market. And there's amazing companies like Indeed and, Glassdoor and like all these other places that you can go in and check to say, what are the market comps for let's say your next hire is a marketing manager, okay, or an operations manager. That like probably might be many of your first hires is a strong operations manager. You can take a look at in your industry, what does an operations manager go for? So you know where you're in range or out of, like where the range is. And if you're like, man, the range is between, let's say, 40 to 60 for this role, and you're like, but I can only afford 40, right? You know, like you might not get the MBA, or you might not get you might not get the attract the next level of candidate that you could have, but it doesn't also mean that you don't get a player that's like ready to grow into that. That's one. And then two, that doesn't mean that a candidate that's working for another company may not want to like take a lower salary to come join an amazing organization. And there's other creative ways to match the market, right? Is that time off? Is that maybe they work flexible hours? Maybe it's they work 4 days a week, right? Instead of 5, right? And so there's other ways to get creative as a small startup. And we completely discount that. We're just like, oh, can't afford it, can't do it. I'm going to hire another contractor. Please tell me if that's happening for you, because I know it is. Do not lie. Right? It's definitely happening. You can attract the right talent and get creative. People really care about the why. People really care about working for leaders that really care, and there's a great mission and that has flexibility. And you might not have a 401k and all of that, but this person can help you get there. Flavia, 40 is way too low. I'm giving an example, right? So these are all examples. All right. Interviews. All right. So when we're doing the interviews, it should be a conversation. This is not about this like stuffy, serious interview. My goal is to have a cup of coffee with a friend. I want to get to know this person. And yes, as somebody asked, do you recommend going overseas? Absolutely. Half my team's in Colombia right now, and Laura's in London. I think what's really cool about today's environment, and our operations manager is going to actually be out of Orlando. So there are certain hires that like work remote. Like, and if you're a completely remote team, then you literally have access to the entire world's talent, right? That's amazing. And in many different countries, and Flavia, maybe it's 40K in the US, but 40K in another country might be plenty of budget, right? And so you also want to take a look at where you're hiring from. So, where I was going with this. So remove the stress of the interview. This is really just getting to know the person. And I like to start off like with my interview of like just in like the big, like the worst, like tell me about yourself. Like, okay, that's so generic. Like actually say like take me back from like to college is like, or like tell me about your family. Like tell me about like your history. Like I want to go all the way back. So I'd let them choose a time period in their life. And some people literally go, when I was 3, I was like, I went like whatever. And it could be because they have a cool story. Like I moved around. I went to 10 different schools in 12 years. And so if you want to get to know me, I kind of start with like, I grew up in an immigrant parent household. We moved around a ton. I grew up in small business. I grew up in entrepreneurship. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. And I worked closely with like family was everything. And like now I work with my brother, right? Like it kind of like it makes sense in my story. So when you relax, people relax too. And then you're actually trying to pay attention. Like your job is like you've already read through, they shouldn't be in an interview if they're not what we talked about yesterday, clean sheets. Like job competency should already be checked off. You are meeting them for an interview to hire for values, to check in on those air quotes intangibles, to get the feels, right? And as women, that is our greatest strength. Our intuition is our greatest strength. We are the best at our gut and trusting it. And we're the best at our gut, but we need to learn to trust it. That's what I want you to do. I want you to trust your gut. If there's a red flag and you're like, she just said that funny, it's cool. That's awesome. Trust your gut, right? Look, and you're not looking for the interview to fail. So I'm not looking for you to either be like this happy puppy or for your interview to fail. I just want you to listen and check out the cues that are a right fit for you as a person. Business is personal. If you don't want to hang out with this person, especially in a start, like when my team comes to visit for like retreats and things like that, like they stay in my house. Now, clearly we're all working on our boundaries, right? Like this is not the best boundary but it's so fun. And they're my I'm not trying to say that there isn't like levels of friendship and leadership. There is, but in a startup environment, when we're all rolling up our sleeves, you want to work with people that you love and that you're going to invest the time in and that are going to work together with you, that are going to be your partners, and that you want them to win too. So I want to hire people that I want to grow and develop. And once, honestly, you start bringing on the right team and you have the right teammates, you go above and beyond for their success. So hiring for values is super important. Knowing your core values is super important. That's what we do on module 1, by the way. It's all about defining those values, clearly getting your vision. There's a whole playbook on this. And I hope you know them. But if not, you can go and revisit some of the previous modules that we've done, or sorry, in the course. But if you haven't, then I hope you join because there's so much for you to learn. But job description, SOPs, getting the right candidates, hiring for values. And then once you hire the right person, it's not over. This is where it just begins. The next big part of this is investing in your team, training and developing them so you're retaining and growing your talent. This is the biggest part. You put in so much time to get the right person in. You want to make sure that you can properly onboard them, train them, create an amazing collaborative relationship with them. Check in with them, make sure that they're growing and that they're happy in the company. That's happy employees make happy customers too. Like, period. Right? And you can tell when you call into a company whether what their culture is like immediately, right? Because if you get grumpy on the other side, or you're like sometimes, like, in certain industries, like in service industries, it's really clear to tell who loves their job and like who doesn't love their job. Like, very clear, especially in the service industry, right? What, from like your restaurants to hospitality, like you can tell who is like in the right role. And so you want to build a company culture that not only you're proud of, but that they're proud of too. So, how to hire. I told you, or how to train and onboard. Now, we're going to go really fast again. We've got lots and lots to cover. How's it going so far? I'm going to take a tea break. Learning a lot? Oh my God, yes. Afrisha said, when you watch mentors, they say it's not personal, it's business. And Sarah's like, no, it's personal. I hate when people say it's not personal. I'm sorry, I care about what I do. And so, yes, it's personal. I don't understand this concept of why business is not personal. This needs to go on a shirt, Carolina. I need to get that on a shirt. Okay. Business is personal. Okay. How to onboard. All right. Number one thing is fucking FaceTime, y'all. Like, it could be on Zoom, it could be on whatever, but you have to like actually show up to train somebody. They're not magic elves, okay? That you're like, here's all the stuff and like, here's my SOPs, go do it. No, there is a proper, like, there's a way to train people. And the way to properly onboard somebody is to give them time. The more time that you give them, the more successful they will become in their role. Okay. And I'd love to share an example with you. I don't have time for an example. Do I have time for an example, Laura? You do? Okay. So I'm gonna put Sophia on the spot here, our chief of staff at CO School. She's actually our head coach now. And she's actually had every single role in the company. And now we're changing her role again as head coach and head of programming. Because she's growing and developing, and I want her to develop into like what she wants in her future. So when I first hired Sophia, my business partner at the time, like, interviewed her, and by the way, I don't. For those that didn't know, I had a business partner initially at CO School, but it's because I was still working on Stacks, and I wanted to have a partner that could support operationally. And I clearly ignored every single one of like my value fits, and just was coming from a scarcity mindset of like, because I really wanted this thing to get off the ground while I was working at Stacks, but I didn't listen to my gut. Ended up in this like partnership that wasn't like really value aligned with the vision that I had like for the company, and had to disintegrate the partnership and buy out the partnership. But long story short, what I'm trying to go with this is my business partner interviewed this person who was actually going to be our customer support specialist, our community manager and customer support specialist. And she was like, no, this is like not the right person for us. She's not going to be great, all these things. And I'm like, I thought, and I was like, man, I went through her stuff. I thought she was so fantastic. And so I listened to my gut, and then I did this interview with Sophie, and I interviewed her, and I'm like, man, this girl has something really special. And I'm like, I can just tell she's going to be an A player, and she should be on our team, and she's going to start here in this role, but I see her future. Like, she's going to do a lot um, under me. And I just felt that. I felt it in my gut. And Sophie, I brought on board, and my business partner was like, okay, we'll trust it and we'll go with it. But there wasn't true alignment, right? And so when there's not alignment, that's also important for your team. Like, everybody should be aligned. So there actually wasn't alignment. But Sophie was working under my business partner. And like, I would say my business partner literally was like constantly be like, oh, I'm going to, like, everybody was disposable, right? Everything was everyone else's fault. Everybody was disposable. And there was no ownership of like, what are we doing? Like, why are we not making our people successful? And I was too busy, like, obviously, just in my day to day. And my goal was not to be running day to day at CO school. And then I'm like, when the conversation came up of letting Sophie go, and I don't even think, Sophie, if you know this, I vetoed it. And I was like, you know what? Here's how we're going to solve for it. I think she's great. And I actually need support in copy and programming. And so in my stuff, I'm going to bring her in just as my assistant. Okay. And she's going to support me. You don't have to worry about it. And I pulled her out of underneath my business partner. So I was like, don't worry about it. It's not going to like affect you or the team. And I'm going to keep her in a bubble. And literally, Sophie is still here today. It's like 3 years later, and has literally now gone on to like every single position because she was just such an A player. And what it wasn't about her, it was honestly, she didn't have the right leadership in place. The expectation was like, do everything and make it perfect. But did we actually do this, like, do the training in the right way? And so when I started training Sophie, we're building out programming for CO school. We actually built out the module of how to actually train people. And we use that exact playbook of how I train Sophie. And it's like a 3-part system. And it pretty much goes like, in summary, like, you do it once and you show them. You do it again with them, and they're doing it alongside you. So they're the one that's doing it, but you're like doing it with them. And then the third time they do it, and you don't, like, you're just there, like, off, like, they send it to you and say it's done, and then you verify. And once you've gotten through like those steps, and that's like a super dumbed down example, then you know that task is going to be completed correctly. So it's really about spending that time, that face time with your team member, and actually serving them, because the more you pour into them, that your investment's going to go so much further in your people. So the second thing is to have um, like a proper like guidelines for how you operate like your company as well, right? So one, is about training, and then two, it's also about like all the other things, making sure that they have the right information. You're like having a proper handbook. No one reads the corporate stuff. You might need to have, depending on like, there, I know there's women in here that are going to start and scale SaaS companies and things like that. So you want to make sure you're protected with the right things in place. And also on your team, like, it is important for you to have the right legal things checked off when you're hiring, right? Do they have a non-compete? Like, are they coming from a competitor? Do you need to have a non-disclosure or an NDA? And so there are amazing templates. You don't need to over like reinvent the wheel. I want you to trust your gut, and there are great templates for you to create some basic things when you're onboarding. The next part of onboarding, so after you kind of give them really great face time, is what I'm talking about, the training sessions. But it's also important to get them the tools, right? And so half of it is just showing them how to actually effectively utilize the way you run your organization, or you expect them to run the organization. And so you can create the right structure for tools and tech, and making sure that that is all correct, and also having systems in place like for password sharing and protecting you as well. So you don't want to just like have a document that's like, here's all of our information. I want you to really think about what tools and tech does this person actually need. Creating a system, like using a system like LastPass is a perfect one, or there's other like password vaults, so that you're not just giving away like your passwords to team members, and it's protected. That's important. And then making sure that they're going through the SOPs and the training with you, right? So this is truly just time upfront. And then going into time, if you want to go back just really quick, I'll highlight on the time piece. It's a great way when you're bringing on a hire, you can absolutely do a 90-day trial period or give them a 90-day plan. Like every single one of my hires, an executive hire, especially, I do a 90-day, I sit with them and then we do a 90-day plan together. So you can create what do the milestones look like for a 30, 60, and 90-day milestones that by month one, like when they're coming in, yes, they're like, they might be ready to like dive right in and help you, but I want them to just also like make observations and like understand the business and take the time to learn. So I like to slow things down up front. And then we focus on achievable, tangible milestones. So you can create that one-on-one with your team. And then finally, I just shared you guys the rule of 3, which is teach them how it's done, and then allow them to give it a shot and then supervise. And it really, really helps. Lastly, it's also about feedback, right? So people get like, especially like I've just seen women, they're like, oh, it's just frustrated because we're perfectionists. And I want you to first let go of the fact that no one's going to do it as good as you. Okay. So no one is ever going to do it as good as you, period. Period, 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 period. Okay. And that's not their job. Their job is no one's ever going to be you. So stop expecting people to be you. That's like first and foremost. Second, okay, I want you to get them to a place where they can get it to 80%. Your job is to bring that 20%, that magic touch, right? And how you get them to do that is by focusing on the right training. Paint done is a concept where I'm not going to be able to get to it today, but you have to be really descriptive on the tasks and the feedback. And it doesn't need to be perfect, it needs to be 80% right. And then you can come in for that 20% magic touch. It's also important, Laura, you can skip forward, for you to have the effective cadences for meetings, right, with your team. So how are you actually meeting with your team? And it's not just the one-on-one. My therapist said the same thing. Thank you, Billy. No one is going to be you. Yes, it's so true. Okay, meeting cadences. So here are some meeting cadences that I have in place that you guys can absolutely utilize. You don't have to have all of these like styles of structure, but I want you to have a meeting cadence for your team. My most important meeting is Monday morning team scrum. That's it. We're in launch time right now. We meet every day, 9 a.m. Team scrum, 30 minutes. Everyone's like rattling off their action items, what's important. So it's important for you to have scrums and huddles. The people call them huddles, people call them scrums. Quick and easy way to report on KPIs, key priorities, and communications as a team. That's more on day-to-day execution. It's also important for you to have strategic meetings where everybody comes together. Maybe it's a monthly meeting with the whole team as an all hands. We talk about strategy, what's ahead. And then a town hall meeting we do once a quarter, which as your organization grows, that might be something you then end up like putting together because maybe mini teams, maybe the marketing team meets together and then the overall company meets quarterly. So the cadences are going to change as your company grows, but it's important for you to have the right meeting cadences. And your most important meeting is your one-on-one. You need to ensure that you are having one-on-ones with every single one of your direct reports. If they report into you, you need to check in with them. You don't need to have a one-on-one every single week. It might be a role that you need to have a one-on-one every week or biweekly or monthly, but you've got to have a one-on-one with every single direct report. And your leaders on your team should also be having one-on-ones with their direct reports as well. So a one-on-one is, I'd love for us to link. I did a podcast at CEO School that links details on having an effective one-on-one. And I know we go deep into the program, but truly this is the space for you to check in on them like as a human. This is open dialogue. This is your time to listen. They're there to give feedback, share about the goals. This is still business, right? There's business and then there's the personal side of it. But this is your true check-in with the team. I will tell you, my most effective conversations are we are able to solve so many blockers and problems in a one-on-one. When you avoid them, like for example, I was in such a season, so slammed. Laura and I hadn't had like a one-on-one in forever. and things are just moving. And then we had like missed certain things, and we're just like, hold on, can we just like we just need to check in. And we've been like, we're like, how do we fall off? And it's hard. It's hard to keep up with all your cadences, right? And you're like, oh, everything's going smooth, and then you fall off of it. No, it's like your date night, right? Like in my marriage, like I literally, if I don't have like we haven't had date night in a couple of weeks now. We've been traveling, but I can tell like we're not connecting the same when we don't have a date night. This is like your time, dedicated time. So set it up and show up. Honor it. It is incredible. It's game changer. If you took one thing away from this, it's game changer. Your team culture, right? So now you have the right people, you've got the org, they're trained and all the things. Now you got to make sure that they're happy and they're going to stay on your team and they're going to bring in all this like amazing things continually, right? You've invested so much time. So it's so important for you to make sure that your culture is set as one team. That is my biggest like value. It literally is tattooed on my arm. I really believe in one team. And it's important for you to like, you can incentivize your team in different ways, right? So it could be financial compensation, but it can also be other incentives. Like right now, we have a target of enrolling 300 CEOs into this next cohort. That's my goal. That's my dream. That's my like literally what I want to do is to serve hopefully more, but I want to serve 300 of you. And yesterday I was like, oh my God, like I will literally talk to each and every single, I just want you in. And I was telling my team and I was like, if we hit this target, we're all going on vacation. Okay. And like that was like something I'm literally giving you a real-time example of like how this is like natural, right? And it's going to be fucking awesome. Like we worked really hard. We put together like literally the best program for CEOs, for female entrepreneurs, and the energy here is incredible. I want to bring 300 of you. So one, I want to know who's in because I just want to start counting and like welcoming all of you and like starting my DM conversations with you. But it's important to like make my team win, right? Like they're going to be excited to support you too. Right. And so I was like, let's take a team vacation because they've earned it and we've earned it. And what a great like target together as a team. So it doesn't just have to be like financial, right? There are things that you can do for your team, like PTO policies, like everyone can earn things. Don't make all the problems your own, right? This is why you have a team. There's no I in team. And of course, oh my God, yes. Nirali's in, Billy is in, so many beautiful people. Hyun, I'm trying to say Venice, incredible. I'm so excited. Okay. So it is important for you to incentivize and you can get creative. So now we've done this. We've assessed and so now what's next, right? So what's in it for you? How are you going to take this and apply this? Because I just gave you a shit ton of information, like everything about people, high level, right? Now I want you to take and actually assess your current tasks. Okay. And I want you to decide on what is what is missing? What are your current tasks today? What are the things that's not working for you or are the biggest, like a driver in your business, but you see a big gap in that you need help in? And how to think about that as 1 + 1 = 3 so that we can create the ideal role to get that next person hired. Laura, do we have time to go into like doing team audits? Like, I don't think we need to do that today, but we'll share more information with you on all of once you have this person, how to actually do current team audits. So more stuff, always more stuff. So it was very, very jam packed. Okay. Flavia says, I love Flavia's commentary right now. There's no such thing as $1 million idea, only $1 million execution. Absolutely. And everybody's got to execute, but they got to know what to execute. Our expectations of our people are like this. And then we're disappointed. But it's like, did we actually put in the work? Is it clear? So your assignment today, okay, is to create a clear job description of the person. I want you to first start with your org chart, okay, because I want you to first create your current org chart so you can see what the gaps are, okay? And then pick one and you're like, this is the person. And for many of you that don't have teams, and a few people are going to ask me like, who should I hire first? Right? Look at the contractors that you have supporting you and like kind of see, is there a consolidated full-time role? I would say operations managers are like critical. Having a really strong admin, like if you do not have a strong admin that can take stuff off your plate, definitely if you don't have a VA, you need a VA. Like you need an assistant to take off daily tasks and things like that. But I also want you to think about not just like the easy hire. I want you to think about who is that strategic hire for you. And yes, you are in the org chart, you are a CEO, right? So it's important for you to put yourself and where you belong and what kind of responsibilities you want. So do your org chart, decide on what's going to be the strategic role. Okay. And I'd love to hear what are y'all thinking. And then from that role, we're going to create an actual job description of that role. Do you want to go back to that last slide to give them their assignment? And let's make sure you understand the assignment. So clear title, clear function, roles and responsibilities. And maybe if you did your AOP, you already know what targets they have. So maybe create some KPIs for them of like, we want to track these things and this is how we're going to measure success. So put in the work to create the job, and you can Google it, right? Like this is literally so Googleable to say, okay, in my industry, I'm looking for like this type of role. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. And you can bring it back to our Facebook group so we can support you there as well. And then I want you to share that with me. And I want you to explain why this role is important, who this role is, and share that awesome job description and bonus points to what are the SOPs that you need to create for that role. So you don't have to have the SOPs done, but just like a list of like the 3 major SOPs that that person may need to get started on day 1. Okay? That is the assignment today. And hopefully, imagine like at the end of the 12 weeks, right? We're going to kick off our program in January. So our goal is to get through, we have 1 more day of the experience tomorrow. So tomorrow I'm going to be teaching all about, now that we know our AOP, we know what our team needs to look like, even if we don't have it in place perfectly. We're going to get at least the first roll in. Now, next, we're going to create what are the actual strategic goals for the company for 2023. So we're going to take all of the things that we put in place to then drive the exact roadmap to the 2%. So what is it actually going to take? What are the 3 major things for the year we're going to accomplish? What are the sub goals within it? So you can hit the ground running in January and know, okay, I know exactly what I need to do project wise, task wise. Like that's going to be the major needle movers and driver of my business. So that's what we're going to work on tomorrow. So tomorrow's workshop is going to be determining your needle movers and the exact road to 2%. I'm going to be giving away more playbooks. Here you have you get the homework assignment, but you're going to get another playbook at the end of the workshop today. So definitely grab the people playbook today. And then tomorrow is going to be putting this all together and actually creating your roadmap for 2023 to go back and hit that vision, right? So when we started off this workshop yesterday, you created what next year looks like for you, right? Freedom of time, freedom of dollar, freedom of impact. Those are the key pillars that we have at CEO School that I want for each of you. I want you to live in your highest purpose, making that impact. I want you to maximize the dollars that you can make, because when you make the dollars, you can make more impact. You can hire more people and serve more people, right? And I want you to do it on what feels best in your energy with your time, right? And those are my biggest lessons, honestly, over the last 10 years that I wish I had started my journey, or when I was in my early parts of scaling, that I had put that in place, right? Because I'm still 10 years into my business now. And which is amazing. And I've built something incredible, but there's so many things that when I do it again, I'm going to change this next time. So I'm trying to teach all of you my lessons of building a $1 billion business. You can start today and get that roadmap to that 2%. So, really, really excited for tomorrow. Who's going to be here tomorrow? I would love for you to tag us today on Instagram. Share with us your biggest takeaway. Just make sure you dropped in your handle. We're going to bring you guys into the inner circle. I would love to make sure all of the bonuses. So if you guys are part of the VIP list and you guys are showing up, you also will get tomorrow. We're going to open the doors to the program, and there's a ton of bonuses that are going to drop tomorrow. So do not miss tomorrow, because they'll only be for the live call tomorrow. And if you're going to show up, come ready and come prepared to take action and we're going to reward the people who are going to take action, and our cohorts are actually going to start. So we've got lots of questions of like, when does this begin? So this is a 12-week, a little bit back about the program. We're going to do a 12-week accelerator, okay, of 300 CEOs. That's what I want you to come bring that energy to me. We're going to start January 23rd. Okay, so like middle of January. And for 12 weeks, we're going to meet every single week. Every single week, you're going to get a module that's going to get dropped or implementation homework that's going to get dropped. I'm going to bring in guests. So like every week for 12 weeks, we're going to be together building your business of success. And at that 90-day mark, after that quarter, you're literally going to have your business. Like, I keep doing this on the opposite right here. It's a mirror reflection, like in a binder, right? All your SOPs, your dream org, knowing your playbooks, getting the right things in place, the right pricing strategy, the right customer journey. Like literally, it is your business boot camp. And we're just going to power through so that you can actually hit that 2023 milestone and the goals that you want. So that's the program. I cannot wait for you guys to come tomorrow. We're going to put that roadmap in, and I'll see you then. Anything else, Laura, that I missed?
I think we've got time for some questions if you'd like to
yes,
take a few. Yay. Okay, I'm going to read them out to you, Sanira. I feel so unglam right now, but my friends, this is like the behind the scenes. You're seeing the realness.
Great.
So, how do you know if you can afford the next hire financially? And where do you look again to determine the salary?
Absolutely. So when we built our AOP, I would look at your projections, right? And that's why I said make your projections realistic. So when you're building out your AOP, I want you to give yourself a little stretch. I don't want you to be so conservative because then you're not going to want to achieve anything more. So taking a look at your historics, what you actually did last year based on the sales, looking at your pricing strategy, putting into your AOP, putting in your expenses. And then when you're doing that assessment, you could see like, can I consolidate some things, right? Like as we did. So the AOP exercise is probably going to be, that's why that comes first, the most important to determine your budgets, like what you have. And I would say that it is an investment. Like people are an investment. And so if you want to scale to that next level, you may have to take that investment and invest back into your business. And I don't know everyone's personal, I didn't have a personal financial situation. So I can't give you advice on what to do personally. But I personally, at that time, invested everything I could back into my business. I took home a very mediocre salary so that I actually didn't take home a salary for 3 years because I lived with my parents, and that was another story. So I was trying to put as many dollars back as I could into my business. I was also young and didn't have kids and didn't have a family. I could never do that again today. So I would make sure that after your cushion is there, it should give you what the dollars are. And also you have to stretch yourself. Like that's why you have to go do more. When you earn more, you can spend more, right? So make sure that your targets are correct. That is how you're going to determine when you can bring on the next hires, right? And then secondly, on what was the second question?
Part 2, where to look again to determine salary.
And you can look online, right? I would Google it. So I would Google what are the average costs of like the next hire that you're looking for. And maybe if your budget doesn't allow for a COO, right? You don't need to go get a COO. Taking a look at what are those tasks in place, what can you actually outsource? And this is maybe where contractors come in. And if you have contractors doing it, then I want you to think about, can you consolidate, right? Because it's also about contractors are great and fantastic, but also if you have too many, that's also so much time and energy, right? Can you consolidate that whole team together? So that is also really important for you to think about.
Amazing. Question from Lindsay. What are your thoughts on hiring online COO groups under contract early on in your business? I don't know what COO groups are, but knowing they'll never transition to A players.
Okay, so I think what you're asking is fractional COOs or like outsourced COO. I would say that there are areas that fractional works, such as maybe your bookkeeping, your accounting, your CFO. That could be fractional because you don't have that much like finance every day that needs to take place. So for a role like that, you can absolutely get a fractional person to come on board. Or if you need a fractional like strategy, like a fractional CMO for like strategic level to bring on board. We have a CEO school alumni, Manasa Mantravati. She has an amazing children's dinnerware product. She has a fractional CMO right now, but she has a head of marketing. But the CMO is like somebody from like in the industry that she's getting strategic help from, that just comes in high level, that is like can support her. So it's not a day-to-day function. So that's how I would consider fractional help. However, for your operations, that's something that's pretty day-to-day in your business. I don't recommend, you don't need a COO. You probably just need an operations manager. Can you get an operations manager and get started there and build that person into the next level?
Ashley, how do you build up to affording A-level talent?
I always have had A-level talent, and I've not always had the budget. So I'm going to challenge you. I found like Sophie was out there. Sophie sent me a DM. That's how like her and I met. But I'm about to put out there for our operations manager. I found an A player. Right? And it's not on like a corporate A player. Like we don't have a 401k at CO school. It's a small startup again. I'm like rebuilding this again, right? So I'm like drinking my own champagne here. I hate saying this, the American sayings, like eating your own dog food. Who wants to eat dog food? So I like to say drinking my own champagne. So I'm drinking my own champagne, and applying the same principles. So I've been able to do it over and over again. And our women at CO school, we can help you there, right? It's really about the why. This is why, your messaging, your brand, all those things matter. The intangibles matter to people, and there are A players out there. So don't think that they're not out there. And they're looking for amazing companies to join. And I think that people want to work for amazing female CEOs, like they do. And so I think you can find ways to challenge yourself on thinking outside of the box. I think you're limiting yourself by thinking I'm not going to find that A player, or like just remove that thinking. They're out there.
We've got loads of program questions. Ladies, we promise, we will talk about the program tomorrow. We're going to stay super focused on the training for today, but all program questions tomorrow, unless Samira has a bit of time in a short while. But how do we build sales ambassadors as roles?
How do we build sales ambassadors as roles? Okay, so I don't know what industry or business you're in, but if you need help from a sales standpoint, I would make sure that your marketing funnel is correct for a salesperson to first support it, right? And I will tell you, I actually don't like it when like people are like, "Oh, I hate selling, and so I just want to outsource that to somebody." That's never going to work. You are a CEO, your job, you're in the business of selling. Like selling is serving. Laura said that actually today on our call. Selling is serving. You have to get comfortable. If you're not willing to do the job, you can't expect somebody else to be willing to do the job. Okay. So it's important for you to create a proper sales playbook. So all of it also goes back on training and playbooks. And for ambassadors, if you want to get other people, maybe it's an affiliate program that you have, right? To get the right ambassadors, and then you incentivize them to become your ambassador, which is through commission and through a percentage revenue of the sale, versus having them on salary. So that's a great way for you to go get more people to incentivize, versus having sellers in the company. And there might be a time where you're like, hey, I want to bring this in full time. But you can definitely have brand ambassadors that are on commission and that are incentivized to do so. I would start small. I think for any sort of, like when you're looking to go build like a partner playbook, or like it goes outside of your organization, there's a level of touch that gets lost in that next, they're never going to do it again already as great as you guys will, and then they're removed from the organization. So I would ensure that you start with like one amazing ambassador, and then like learn from that, and then go get two more amazing ambassadors, and then scale that way, versus trying to sign up like 100 ambassadors and then everyone's doing a shit job. So that is how I would scale your sales ambassador program.
Someone's asked, is it best to have a certain percentage of my first hire's salary back before hiring them? Or is it best to have a certain percentage of my first hire's salary before hiring? I'm not quite sure what that means. You may need to rephrase.
I think I understand what she's saying. I read my girls, like I don't know. Okay, I think what she's trying to say is, do I need to have enough money in the bank to go get that first hire? So should I have enough savings for like the first 3 months or whatever to then kind of afford it? I would say probably yes. I would say you probably need to have 3 months worth of burn rate in your company always in the bank. So I would not be operating at less than a 90-day. Like you don't want to be on a week to week or a month to month business cycle, because things get held up. Like, I don't know. Sometimes people even when people deposit their checks late, it's like it could ruin cash flow. So you want to make sure that you have cash in the bank for a 90-day period to run your company. But you
Amazing.
don't need to have cash in the bank for a whole year before you like hire. So that's where like the risk part of it, like, you know what the sales are going to be, you know, you're going to push yourself. You can go do it.
And I have one final juicy question, and then we need to jump off today's session, and you guys need to go and do the work. From Casey, how do you build an AOP for a service-based business and determine profitability when the expenses don't directly correlate to each of the services?
So when you're building out an AOP, again, I gave you guys a template yesterday, so use it as a template. You can create your sales forecast and then just create general expenses. It doesn't have to be expenses by product. That's why what I did the full year, like you can create it by the full year and then maybe just put 0 in the expense line for like product or like whatever it is for the product, and then you can have general ledger expenses like right under. So you can use the template as a base. The goal for the AOP is for you to have your sales forecast and your cost forecast, right? To then show your margin and like what your like total and you break up your costs in 2 ways, right? We talked about what's recurring and what's one time. And so your team needs to be part of the recurring ongoing like stability of the business. So that's how I would view the AOP and putting in the people function in it to understand, not just based on like product costs. You can literally just take it and create your own sheet. It's just a great template for you to use.
Amazing. One more. It's a good one. Natalia, I've been in operations myself for 11 years. How do I then pull myself out?
You give away your Legos. Okay. So there's this really great article. Sophie, if you can ping me on it, it's like literally been our like stacks theme this whole year is like giving away our Legos, because we've hired every year that I've been in business since 2014, I have hired a new team member literally every single month. If not now, like every single Monday, like every other week, we have a new cohort that starts. So I have been in the business of hiring people for a decade now. Like, people is the business. We're 400 team members right now. And a huge part of growth is giving away like our Legos, meaning like it's okay to share the responsibility, right? And that's what we want to do is when we bring on, like, you've been in operations your whole life. So that's what you know in your comfort zone is operations. That means that you should probably be the overseer. You don't need a strategic head on operations. But that doesn't mean that there's not Legos that you can give away, right? And so for me, like, my zone of genius is marketing. Like, I'm a brand expert. I love to write. I'm a messaging expert. Like, I love copy and brand and marketing. Like, I'm really great at marketing. Now, I may not need a marketing strategic hire, right? Like, I just brought on CMOs of like for my companies, but I know where my strengths are, so I can oversee that. But there's a lot of Legos that I can give away in areas that are not your strength, right? You want to make sure that you have the right strategic lens to support you there. And so that's how I think about what's strategic versus what's tactical. And for you who've been in operations, like, there's a lot that you can still give away so that you can take your expertise and say, what else of the business do I need to then emphasize my time in? So just because you do it great doesn't mean you have to still be the one to do it.
Thanks, Sanira. We're still getting loads of questions about the program, so I'm going to throw a few cheeky ones in there for you if you don't mind.
Okay.
So
you can feel free to answer them too.
I'm actually enjoying like sitting listening to you ladies, so I'm going to let you kick things off.
Okay.
So do you look at pitch decks as part of the program?
So, well, tomorrow, there will be an opportunity for those people who are going to take action to have one-on-one time with me potentially. And so I don't know if can I say it?
Yes.
Okay. I'm like waiting for her. For every single person that actually joins the program tomorrow and does the full program, they're like, yep, I'm in. They'll get and they pay in full. So we reward action. They'll get one-on-one time with me. And so during that time, we can absolutely review your pitch deck. During the modules, we actually run through like finances and one of the biggest things that like, and I'm always adding in modules to the program as well. So fundraising is one that we are talking about in the program, like, and it doesn't apply to everybody for everyone's business, but raising capital, and like there's an entire module just on profit and scaling your finances. And so I'm happy to take a look at your pitch deck, and we could do it in our one-on-one session.
Amazing. Next program question. Will you cover raising finance? That's what the coaching calls are for.
Yes, exactly. And that's exactly what we're going to do.
So Billy is asking, and I think this is a really good question. You know, if you're not at the stage where you can afford to invest in our intensive, what other options do we have at CEO School for getting started?
Yes, I love this. Okay, so the way that I've designed CEO School's customer journey is it's for every female entrepreneur, it is at the right stages. Okay, so if you are a new entrepreneur and you've just gotten your business started and you're sub 100,000 in revenue, the club is the place for you. Like, you need to be part of the club. There's a lot of resources for entrepreneurs that are looking to pass that six-figure standpoint. All the resources, we meet monthly. You've still got all of the things within like our workshops and everything. So you've got a great community to support you, as well as myself also in the club. Then from there, if you're like close to six figures or you're past six figures, your next piece is the program. So I want you to join the program because it's 12 weeks. We're going to do like a strict boot camp in scaling, but this program applies to six figures and beyond. And so even if you're at like a seven-figure mark, like, do the program because you're going to reassess your business. Like, it's you like taking the time to look at your own business and scale for next year. So it's all going to be focused on you leveling up as CEO, you scaling, and then you getting to your goals for 2023. And there's like a whole 6-part framework that I have you go through. And if you're a higher level entrepreneur, this is where you bring in your teams too. So you can like bring on your like whoever you want to hand this off to say, do this module, and I want you to get me the homework back, because your team can work on this alongside you. Then once you're past the six-figure marks, this is kind of where like the club transitions. It's the boardroom. So the boardroom is our coaching cohorts where you come in based on your revenue and as well as your industry. So we put you into these mini cohorts between 6 to 10 women, and you guys meet as a mastermind. So it is literally the greatest like value that we've ever like. I don't even think there's any program in comparison that gives that much value as our boardroom. So you join the boardroom and you get your cohort, you get a coach that's with your cohort, and then you meet with me twice a month as a cohort. So I teach a workshop live, so something like this, but it's tailored to what's taking place. So if we're like, oh, we really want to talk about venture and fundraising, that might be the topic. And then I do intimate time with our cohorts. So you guys get to do hot seats and live with me. And that's the way that I can scale my time for the boardroom. And you meet with your coach and your cohort every 4 to 6 weeks, depending on like what your cohort decides. And like we have cohorts in there that are $1 million cohorts, multi-million-dollar cohorts, 250 to 500. So it all is based on your revenue and your industry. And it's 6 to 10 women in that. So it's $49 a month for the club, and it's $299 a month for the boardroom. But you have to be a minimum of a six-figure business. Then beyond the boardroom is our live events. So we have 3 live events per year. The dates will be posted on the website in January. And we're going to have all the dates for the next retreats in the cohorts. And those are the retreats that we do in person, but they're maxed out to 20 seats per retreat. So once you're kind of in that multi-six-figure plus $1 million range, the women want to come in person, and then we spend like a weekend together and like vacation pretty much together and like talk about business and do live workshops like this and drink a lot of wine, and it's really fun. So that's like the 2% club, and that's kind of the treat that we all get to like be together, part of the 2% club. So that's the customer journey for CEO School. And so you can pretty much put yourself in any stage. And right now, like this program, I want every entrepreneur, like you have to have an idea. So the reason why I like it's still tailored to you having revenue in place. You have to have like at least 5 figures in revenue in place for this, for you to put in that time. Because you're going to be talking about teams, we're going to talk about scaling, we're going to talk about finances, we're going to be talking about hiring, SOPs, your processes, tools, and tech. So it's pretty labor intensive as well. And I know there's always like new entrepreneurs that like sneak in and then they do it like they're like, I still want to do it anyway. But this is ideally designed for entrepreneurs who are looking to scale. And like 2023, you know your vision, you know your goal, and we're going to do it. So 12 weeks, we do it. And then part of the program, all the freebies tomorrow. Can I give the second freebie?
So the freebie, the special secret freebie is only for people who are on the insider list.
Okay. But can I say it?
No.
Okay. There's another amazing perk, which may or may not include further things along the journey that are included. So that are just going to be added bonuses for people that take action. So our goal is to go enroll all of you. So I'm really excited, you guys. Like personally, I'm just going to say like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. Like, I just want to vulnerably throw that out there. Like, this is a dream to be able to like take what I've learned and like, this is like my passion. This is what I love to do, and then apply it and like be able to like support all of you. And I just fucking love business, and I just see it. And I think that there just has been this huge void. And I've watched on the sidelines for so long other people that are not in business teach business. And I think it's just god awful. And I'm like, no, it's not the only way to do things. And so I just want to open up it's not even going to be my way of doing things. I'm going to show you your way of how you can do it your way. That's my goal. So it's not going to be my way. I just want you to have like, I wish somebody allowed me to do it my way. And I want you to do it in a way that serves you. And I want you to like, just see the possibilities. And I guarantee it. I guarantee literally a 10x on your investment in any of our programs. So awesome. Tomorrow's the day. I will see you tomorrow. Come back tomorrow at noon. We're going to open it up. The club is open. So the questions are, yes, if you're already enrolled in the club, that's fantastic. This is like your next step in the journey. So this all makes sense. And then hopefully we'll get you into your revenue cohorts, 6-figure plus cohorts. Okay. Amazing. What is your first hire? Get into the insider room, get into the Facebook community. I'm going to select another one-on-one recipient. And thank all of you. I thank you so much. This is the greatest joy that I get to bring. It brings me so much joy. It fills my cup in a way that I cannot describe. And I'm just so grateful for your time. Your time is like literally the biggest thing that you can give me. And I hope to give you all the time back. So my commitment to you is like the hour that you bring, that you get the 10 hours back. And I can't wait to share all the success stories with you guys. Like, we did this cohort last year, and it was the most fire experience ever. We learned a lot from it too. They wanted more time, so we extended the time. Like, it used to be 8 weeks. We like jammed everything in 8 weeks, and now we've extended it. So you get a whole month with me for the state, like another. And we're also inviting our alumni back, so they get to come join, just because. And I'm like really excited about that too. Yeah, my next retreat, the dates will be up. So I think it's going to be, at the end of, first quarter. So that's gonna be the first one. So we'll keep you posted, and I'm learning so much. I know everyone, I'm so excited. So let's join, let's learn more, and let's go build your business of your dreams with impact, freedom of dollar, and freedom of time. I'll see you tomorrow, you guys.
Hi, I'm Sanera Madani, and I'm a mom of two, a daughter of an immigrant, and an unlikely entrepreneur who went from scaling an idea to $1 billion business. Yes, $1 billion business. Since I never went to CEO school, I've had to learn it all the hard way, but you shouldn't have to, because we believe that you deserve to have it all. And honestly, nothing bad happens when women make more money. Grab a seat, because class is officially in session.
I'm late to my next meeting.